Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. This is my official review of my 2024 GMC Sierra. Now this is the AT4 and I am out here wearing my JH diesel shirt because this is the 3.0 liter Duramax. I've had it for a couple months now for officially 1,554 miles. So far, I have absolutely loved this truck. It has been completely uneventful, and that's what you want, especially after coming out of my old 2021 Ford F-150. That truck was not without plenty of issues. I've had a ton of videos on that, but this truck I bought for the purpose of trying to find the best all-around pickup truck that served all of the needs that I have, and that is the utility of a pickup truck with enough towing capacity. This truck is 8,800 pounds. Now I can already see the comments from all those guys who are towing fifth wheels or hauling around 10 tons worth of stone in the back of their trucks. I get it. It's not enough for you. 8,800 pounds for me, totally fine. I don't tend to tow heavy. I tow frequently, and this fits my needs. But this, again, is the 3-liter Duramax diesel. Now, I think because I'm coming from the 2021 Ford F-150 Power Boost, which did not have a single square inch of free space, seeing this engine bay is refreshing. The packaging of this engine bay, really, really nice. And I've got to say, so far, I am absolutely loving this diesel. But I'll get into that as we're driving down the road, going through the driving impressions and some of the pros and cons of the diesel. The front of the truck is really what drew me into it. I've always viewed the GMCs as having kind of like the perfect mix of brawn and classiness. And in terms of the AT4 package, I love the blacked out grille. Now I did switch out the badge already for the black badge. This does come with the red GMC badges, which actually don't look all that terrible to me. However, my wife, she owns a 2023 GMC Acadia AT4. And when we parked them next to each other, it looked obnoxious. The red badge, switching that over to black, kind of helped make the vehicles look a little more different from each other, and I think it just looks fantastic. The LED lights that come on this package, in terms of light output at night, these things really great. The lighting out of this, really fantastic. One thing that I absolutely love about all of these modern trucks, and this one I think is leading the pack, is all of the cameras. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of these camera views, absolutely amazing. The clarity of these things, next level. The ability to kind of shift back and forth. You can turn off the surround view. So if you want the whole screen to take up everything and not see that, you can turn that on and off. I pretty much leave it on all the time. Here you can see the downward view, what's in front of the truck when you're off-roading. That is fantastic. Same with the rear. If you're trailering, that is a great view. This view, when you're off-road, is absolutely awesome. To be able to see exactly where your tire is going to go. I can avoid this rut to the side because guess what? I can't see any of that outside of the windshield here, but I can see it with that camera view. I can also view the rear end of the truck. This hitch view is great for not only lining up a trailer, but when you're running down the road on a long distance trip, just to be able to check in on making sure no chains are dragging, anything like that. It's really nice to be able to see. And what I love about this is that when you put it in drive, you get not only the lines of where you're going to end up at the front of the truck, but you also get at the rear end where your back tire is going to clip. That in a pickup truck is so useful because if you own a truck, drop in the comments down below and lie and say that you've never clipped the rear tire of your truck on a curb. Everybody's doing it. So a big fan of the way that they've got that all integrated. The camera's next level. The digital rear view mirror, love it. I will never own another vehicle as long as I can control it that doesn't have the digital mirror. You can switch to the regular mirror and kind of go back and forth. But in terms of a truck, I think the digital mirror is totally awesome. And ultimately, you get this fantastic view of the entire surrounding of the vehicle. The AT4 from the factory does come with a 2-inch lift, same as the AT4X. Now, the AT4X does have those dual spool valve shocks, real fancy setup. This one just has the Ranchos, and the truck is sitting on these LT, it's interesting to me, they're light truck tires, 275/65 18s. I think I want to go larger with the wheel and tire setup on this truck. But unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of GMC compared to going with the Ford is there is no way to reconfigure the speedometer, and going to a much larger tire, it's going to be not only the speedometer off, but the odometer as well. And I really don't want to run a truck long-term throwing the odometer out of whack. The whole thing kind of sucks. Let me know in the comments down below if you're somebody who is a GM fan and you know of a way to recalibrate speedometers. Let me know. But I have seen people run 35s, and it's something I might consider in the future. But right now, I think if anything, I might just go to a 33 and leave it at that. Now, I have already done some modifications to this truck. These are the the new Vision version of their running boards. And when you open the door at nighttime, the whole board lights up. Pretty cool stuff. The power steps to me are an absolute must-have. I like the fact that you keep your ground clearance, but also maintain the ability for, well, my daughter to be able to get in the back of the truck. She was really having a hard time getting in the rear of this truck before the steps were on there, to the point where I had to kind of hoist her up in. I think steps like that are an absolute necessity. This feature right here, Ford had a feature where you could schedule remote starts with the truck. Who in their right mind needs to schedule remote starts? I said, hey, it'd be a lot nicer to have an auto lock feature. This truck, when you close the doors and you have the keys in your pocket, when you walk away, the truck locks and it's automatic. I love that because the neighborhood that I live in, albeit as a relatively safe neighborhood, we have had some instances of people going around and door checking at night. So just having the truck automatically lock when you walk away, super nice feature. Now, in terms of the overall rear end design, any design conversation with any truck is going to be completely subjective. And I'm going back years ago. I thought these just looked ugly. The rear end design of these trucks has grown on me, and the tailgate is one of those features that I kind of thought it was stupid. And it's funny, I just saw Roman Atwood point this out in his video yesterday.
I would have made fun of this 10 years ago. I would have made fun of that. Like, you ain't need no dang step to get up in your truck. Now I love it. It's the best thing ever, dude. Look at that.
The only drawback to this tailgate is that if you have a hitch on the truck, you theoretically can bury your tailgate into the hitch. So something to be very cognizant of with this tailgate. If you did have a trailer on here and you couldn't drop that gate, it is nice to have that step there. And I also like that there's a stake pocket here. So if you want to, you can kind of grab it, jump up in here and grab what you need. The bed of the truck, it's fine. 5.5 foot bed for me. Again, not the greatest in terms of capacity. You're not going to load a motorcycle in here. I also added a bed rug and the swing cases and also the tonneau cover. As those videos come out, I will link them in the description down below so you can check those out. These swing cases are something that I add to every truck now. It's just such a great way to store tools in the bed of a truck. Highly recommend the swing cases. Now, one thing I will miss from my Ford is the Pro Power on board. This has a 120 outlet, a 120 400 watt outlet, which doesn't really run a whole lot, which kind of sucks. I love having the 120 compressor in the back of the truck for, well, things like this, where if you're going to actually want to air down, you can do it. It's really a pain to air up your tires after off-roading with a 12 volt compressor. So I will certainly miss that Pro Power on board. Now let's get to where we spend most of our time, which is the interior of the truck. Very nice place to be. In terms of storage, plenty of storage. You got your compartment up top here. We got our glove box down here. And then we have a giant center storage area here. So let's fire it up and we'll talk about the whole infotainment system here. It is a love-hate relationship for me because I love the infotainment system. The fact that it has Apple CarPlay is pretty much good enough for me, which is important because they have these stupid subscription services, and you can see here, in order to have access to their Google Maps, I need to shop plans. They have all of these different plans. I'm done with it. I have no desire to pay for that service. Now, what I do love about this, and I haven't seen anybody talk about, is because this is an Android Auto based system, I can actually come into the apps say show all apps, instead of being annoyed by that fact that I can't have access to their maps, what I can do is say maps, disable the app. And now I no longer even have to look at their maps app. Be done with it. I'm not interested in any of these nonsense apps. Disable the My GMC app, don't need that either. So now my home screen, pretty much all of the apps that I need, none of them that I don't, got rid of their map app. And now I have CarPlay, and there are the maps. That's all the maps that I'm going to use. You also have these cards off to the side here, which is kind of a nice thing to be able to customize that viewpoint. I love that that's customizable, and I can do that if I choose. Now over here with the configurable dash panel, very, very much love this experience that I can change whatever I want to change. Also, it's all of you guys out there with the DEF fluid comments. I still have over a half tank of DEF fluid at 1,554 miles. That's not too bad. This is so much better than what Ford had in the F-150 that you can really customize, but we can also change what's kind of appearing inside the gauges, what's appearing down low. The configurability is absolutely awesome. Now, one thing that you don't get for data, and shame on you, General Motors, for this decision, I guess I understand, I think, why they did it, but being a diesel, you have what they call regeneration cycles.
Good luck, schmuck.
With a diesel, it burns dirty, so the exhaust system catches all of that dirty, and it holds it, traps it, and the truck gauges how long it holds onto that for before it needs to burn it off. And in that burn off process, the exhaust temperatures go to like 1,200 degrees. It gets super hot. It uses the DEF fluid, and then it also injects more fuel into the exhaust system to burn that all off.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
A simple wrong would have done just fine, but...
It's a process that I know a lot of people hate, the whole DEF system thing, and I can already see the comments down below. Delete it. I'm not deleting it. But the problem with that is if you don't run that entire regen session, which can take 5 to 10, 12 minutes, somewhere in that range, it'll eventually throw a check engine light, and then you'll have to go to the dealership and have them force a regen. It's a whole thing. GM decided that they wanted this truck to be for the masses. So if you're a soccer mom, you don't care about what a diesel regeneration is, and you probably don't want to see it on your dashboard because, I don't know, it comes across as maybe being a check engine light that people are going to be scared of. I think that's what GM was getting at when they decided to do this. But unfortunately, that makes owning a diesel harder. My problem is that I don't drive long distances every day. As a matter of fact, I short trip this truck all of the time because I work from home and I take my daughter to school every day. Because GM decided not to have a gauge on here, you see a bunch of people, myself included, recommending this Banks iDash, which just plugs into the OBD2 port and will tell you, depending on the gauges you set up here, when the truck is predicting to run a regen, which is important to know, and then when the regen starts. Not a huge deal for me. Even this morning after I dropped my daughter off for school, the regen actually kicked in right as I was at the drop-off line, and I drove the truck for an extra 10 minutes to let the regen cycle complete. Not a big deal for me, but I think in terms of diesel life, it's great information to know when your truck is doing that regeneration process. Goes a long way. Just this overall cockpit layout, I love this center console setup, the way that this kind of flows up. It feels very fighter pilot-y, cockpit in control of the vehicle type setup. And one of the most well thought out features or design functions of this truck is where they put the wireless charger. Now this has wireless CarPlay, so you don't have to plug anything in, but it is sitting right here. It's just such an intuitive place to drop that phone. The way that they went about this, really, really, really nice. Now, the seats, I have seen people complain about the seats. And yes, they are definitely harder than what my Ford was. But with them being harder seats, they feel more supportive. I have not the best lower back in the world. And I noticed with my Ford, I didn't have any back support for really kind of like the bottom part of my lower back into my tailbone. And this has contact basically throughout the entire rear, lower part of my body. The longest I've done so far in this truck was 82 miles, and I had no problems with it whatsoever. This is a very, very nice place to be in terms of driving cockpit. Very much love it. At first, I missed my Ford steering wheel because the Ford steering wheel just felt beefier. And in a big truck, the beefier the steering wheel, in my opinion, the better. I got very much used to this to the point where in 1,500 miles, I haven't thought about it until I just mentioned it for this video. And I think I'll forget about it again going forward. All of the rest of your controls, I love having all of these buttons. I hate digital climate control stuff. I hate it. This truck, everything you need is right here in terms of push buttons. We also have our button bank down here, and you can see auto start stop is off. I installed the auto start stop eliminator on this truck. Best mod I've ever done to any vehicle. I hate auto start stop on a diesel. It's even dumber. And that now just memorizes whatever your last input was. So I can turn it on if I want, but I can turn it off and the truck just remembers what that last setting was. So it just stays off. That's the best way to be. Now the back seats, very comfortable. I love how GM has these little rear compartments in the back of the seats. It's a great place to put things like ratchet straps. On the other side over here, got some hats, a vest, safety vest, which good place to kind of hide that stuff away underneath the seats. Plenty of storage. I would like if that storage container or compartment actually came out slightly further. Not a huge amount of storage there, but it fits everything I need. The My Medic medic pack that I carry all the time. You never know when you need it. I've used that quite a bit. A fire extinguisher. I'm 6'1", 210 pounds, and you can see I have plenty of leg room sitting behind myself. This is my seating position. So the back space here, you have the heated seats and also air conditioning with USB-A and USB-C. Very, very nice place to be. I could not be happier with this truck so far. It has been fantastic. I was a little bit leery going to the diesel. My wife, when I told her what I was doing, when I was at the dealership looking at this truck, she's like, man, you sure you want to go with a diesel? And I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And I couldn't be happier that I did. Honestly, it's been a pretty great experience so far. I did an MPG test that I'll also link in the description down below, where I was able to get 33 miles per gallon with this thing on the highway. Anybody who's ever driven a truck before knows 33 MPG out of a pickup truck it's just mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it. And really, you don't have a whole lot of diesel clack out of this. You hear a little bit. I think they did a great job of making it be just enough diesel sound to know that you have a diesel without making it be obnoxious. It's really a sweet spot of great sound, great power, and I think it's just the right powertrain for the truck. So getting on the road, first of all, I gotta say, off-road, I haven't done a ton with this truck, but I did take it slightly further down that trail that I was just filming at a few days ago, just to kind of test the suspension. Now I have some Talon's Garage skid plates that I'm going to put on this truck in the near future. Stay tuned for that. I won't take this truck too far off the beaten path without having better protection underneath. In my opinion, having skid plates almost a necessity. And I'm not talking about the front skid plates that they attach to the front of these trucks to be able to sell you that it's an off-road truck. That doesn't count to me. I'm talking real actual skid/catalytic converter protection plates. But with this truck off-road, I was very surprised how composed the Rancho shocks were from the factory. I typically don't love the Rancho shocks because they're kind of too soft for, I think, creating more of like a plush feel than what it is more, I guess, of an off-road capable suspension. But this truck did the off-road segment that I did pretty well, and I was really impressed with it. We'll address suspension in a future video for sure. I always do suspension mods on my trucks, but overall driving impressions of this truck. For anybody who dropped me a comment previously saying that my old F-150 had more horsepower, more torque than what this truck does, is kind of missing the fact that spec sheets don't mean everything. Yes, more power equals more better, as Donut would say.
How much more power, baby? A ton more power, baby.
But that isn't always the case. And for a daily driver, this diesel with the less power is a better truck. And I mean that because the power is given to you much lower in the RPM range, where most people spend most of their time driving, than stringing out your twin turbo V6 all the way up to 6,000 RPM, which, yeah, I did it with mine a few times, but that's not how you drive your truck most of the time. And that's also why when you're towing with a truck like that, to get the power at those high RPM ranges, that's why you start losing a ton of MPG when you're towing, because you've got to get into that turbo to get that power. Yes, there are other trucks out there, Hellcats and Raptor Rs and Power Boosts, who have better numbers on a spec sheet, but I think for a daily driver, this Duramax is fantastic. We're getting on the highway, 40. If you get on the gas, it gets up and goes just fine. And that's where I think this Duramax AT4 package just kind of sits into this really sweet spot of doing enough things really, really well. No, it's not going to tow 10,000 pounds, at least not in this spec. No, it's not going to win any 0 to 60 races or anything off the line, but it doesn't have to, and trucks don't have to. And that's what I love about this thing. It's just a really good, exactly as you see me here, chill driving truck. Now, I almost went with the 6.2 liter V8, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would have loved the power and the sound and everything that comes with that. But what I was going to hate is the premium fuel requirement and the MPGs that come with that powertrain. Not ideal. That's where this truck, being a diesel, and currently diesel prices being much cheaper than premium fuel prices, this is just the cheaper truck to run, and I'm all about that. So the only caveat that comes with that is the requirement in the owner's manual to run a fuel additive if you're not going to run top tier fuel. In order to get top tier fuel in the Phoenix area, you have to go to Costco, and the only Costco that has it here is way up in North Phoenix, which is just too far for me to drive. So I picked up a bunch of that Diesel Clean, which is an additive that goes into the diesel fuel, and that carries a little bit of a cost with it. But like anything when it comes to, I guess, anything like that, if I can buy it in bulk, I certainly will. I have been really enjoying the fact that when I go to the gas pump, anytime I used my debit card on my old truck, I would have to swipe it twice because there was a $100 limit. In that truck, at times I was pumping $120 worth of fuel into that truck. This truck, when I go to the gas station, right now I've got just about a quarter tank. That will cost me, I don't know, 55, 60, 70 bucks tops. So much nicer to have refuels that are in that price range. Now, another feature that has really grown on me is the heads-up display, where I can see the speeds projected up on the windshield. Initially, I was kind of like, nah, I don't really know if I like that. It was kind of like distracting in my line of sight. But that's another feature, like the digital rear view mirror, that has absolutely grown on me to the point where I leave it on. There's never any moment where I'm like, it's annoying. I actually at times kind of forget it's even there. So big fan of the heads-up display as well. So thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to support the channel. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think I should do with this truck moving forward? Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.